Hello, Adam Booth here with Upshift Online. This unicorn next to me is the long-awaited 2021 Yamaha Ténéré 700. It is here, we've been riding it all day, and that $9,995, right under 10 grand price tag, it's a very worth it bike. So at the heart of this bike is a motor that Yamaha's had for a while. It's proven, it's called the CP2. It was in the MT-07, and now they've made a new frame, new chassis, and made a cool adventure bike around that engine. The engine's basically the same. New ECU settings for the adventure rider. Final gearing is the only thing that's different from what you'd see in their street bike. Out on the trail, this motor is ultra smooth. I had a couple times when I pulled up in the beginning of the day to a stop or a stoplight, and I thought I killed the engine. It's quiet, it's smooth, it's electric, it's linear, it's super fun out on the trail. We'll get back to the motor a little bit. I'm going to talk about the other features on this bike. The suspension, KYB, front forks, 43 millimeter, 210 millimeters of travel. In the back, the shock has 200 millimeters of travel and is adjustable. Of course, front and back suspension have adjustable rebound and compression. Key thing on this bike is there is an adjustment knob on the piggyback shock for 12 millimeters of up and down sag settings. So if you're a little shorter, a little taller, and you want the back end of the bike to stand up or sit down, you just turn that knob. Also in the height department, when it comes to adventure bikes, there's a lower seat kit and a taller seat kit. So you have some adjustability as far as touching the ground. I sat on some bikes with the lower seat and the taller seat, and really I was fine with stock. I'm about 5'8", I don't have very long legs, but overall this bike is set up with a good seat height. I believe it's 34.6 inches off the ground for the seat height. The 2021 Ténéré 700 comes in at 450 pounds wet. That means full of fuel, oils, coolant. Take all that away, it's about 20 pounds. So that gives you an idea where you're at. The gas tank is about 4 gallons. Usually gets you about 200 miles worth of range, depends on how you ride. If you're riding in deep sand, maybe a little less. Cruising down the freeway, probably a little more. There's a boatload of features on this, and there's also a boatload of no features on this. Part of the key thing about this motorcycle, it's very simple. It has ABS front and rear. One button, hold it down for 3 seconds, ABS goes away. There's no different maps for mapping on the ECU. There's no off-road setting, there's no street setting. It's a motorcycle, it's linear, it's easy to ride. It's a very visceral experience as far as dirt bikes go. This thing's kind of a big dirt bike. 450 pounds isn't light, but this is light and small and nimble compared to the average adventure bike. It's way smaller, way more fun to ride than a big 1190. Yeah, you're not gonna take this out and ride down the freeway for days on end, but cruising 65, 70 miles an hour, the RPM's at 5 grand, so it's pretty smooth and pretty comfortable. You'd want to do something like cruise control for multi-day trips and stuff like that. But overall, this thing is really geared towards the dirt. So the day started off with a little bit of asphalt. We rode the freeway for a bit, broke onto some dirt roads. Then we went into 2-track, then we hit some single track, then we hit some silt, some sand whoops. I was overall super impressed with this motorcycle. Turn the ABS off, skid into corners, roll on the throttle. The cool thing is, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, I started in second gear most of the time. The motor is so smooth that even if you're gear high and you roll it on out of a corner or roll it on a straightaway, you don't get the thumping or the jerking of a motor. The motor just rolls on really smooth, almost like electric. So you don't get a lot of herky jerkiness from this engine. So overall, the seating position is really comfortable, standing's really comfortable. The windshield here, it does a pretty good job of keeping wind off your face on the freeway, but staying out of your way when you're standing up. So the bottom line is this is just under $10,000. It rides off-road really well, it cruises down the freeway well, and we even smashed through some sand hoops on some single track, and overall I was kind of blown away by what you could get away with on this bike. You didn't hit a bump and smash through the suspension and then get off center or out of control or loose or anything. So man, you got to think that some Dualsport 450s are come in $2,000 more than this, and you can't even go ride them down the freeway all day. So if you're not into the huge high dollar, all electronics, all this wing ding stuff, and you want a real motorcycle that takes you back to just what motorcycles are made to be, fun, you have to do the input, you have to control the throttle, you control the brakes. There's not a bunch of choices to be made. You get on it, you hit the start button, and you go ride. So overall, Yamaha kind of crushed it with this bike. 10,000 bucks, it's awesome. You can do a lot with it, and it's gonna reach a whole new audience of people. So thanks for checking us out. Make sure you check out upshiftonline.com.